Multiple Indian classical dance forms like Bharatnatyam, Odissi, and Chau. A great scholar, a seasoned art administrator, and a beloved guru to many, she is the founder president of Centre for Indian Classical Dances, which she established in 1977. She has also been nominated as one of the Navratnas for Swachh Bharat Mission by the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. Dr. Sonal has served as the chairperson of National Sangeet Natak Academy and is serving her second term as trustee IG. The journey has been very short because time just seems to fly when I'm with Sonalji. And I firstly, her age has stayed the same of when I first met her when she was 31, all of 31. And she somehow doesn't seem to age. It's nothing to do with me praising her because age is all in the mind. And she has proven that of what energy you have or dedication. And being, a young girl from a school like Welham, a public school where every Tuesday we had to speak हिंदी में लंच को बात करनी थी तो लंच टाइम बहुत साइलेंट रहता था कोई बात ही नहीं करता था और बाहर भाग के तो जब मैं सोनल जी के यहाँ 77 में आई but before that 75 I first read the article that there is this person who had an accident and it was in Style magazine and Rising of the Phoenix. So I said, what is this Rising of the Phoenix? I had just gone to an auditorium and watched Swapna Sundari doing Kuchipudi in Dehradun. So I said, well, this is wonderful. Though I was always dancing in school, Manipuri, Kathakali, all these different. But there was no, Facebook, TikTok, all this. There was no internet. So as a young girl who's just told, academics and my background at home was Maharashtrian, my father's side, Vijay Mehta is my Atya, and the other side, actors, Nutan, Tanuja, Samarth family. There was no dance and no background for dance. There was always theatre and then there was acting, of course. I watched, then I told my parents I have to study dance. So my father had an assistant, he was posted in Delhi. I was taken to Yamini Krishnamurti, and I said, wonderful. But then I said, but I want to study dance. And they said, we took you. Then we took you to Kanakben in Bombay, who also said, come to me. I did not go, and she was wonderful. I said, I have to study from this person. So I realized that it's like a homecoming. It was predestined. I don't think I had that much of a say, but there was, when I saw her perform and when I read about her, I said, I have to go to this person. She is the word guru for me. And I was, that time in 75, all of 15. So 76 I went and she would run away from the back door and would not let me in. And she had this wonderful assistant or secretary, I don't know, Krishnamurti with white hair, scary looking person. He used to toothless and smile at me and saying, go, 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 just go. I had nothing better to do, so I used to go to Claridge's, have my swim, come back in my denim Wrangler jeans, turtleneck, stand outside her door. And I used to say, she'll come out at some point. Well, then she started running away. Then she'd say, no, I can't teach you. You go to, this Hari Krishna Behra classes, Odissi. I said, I don't want to do Odissi. I want to study with you. So, when she finally dragged me in and said, okay, it's my timing. Whenever I want. You won't ask me what the fees are. I said, abhi haan sab ke liye bol do. Who cares? Baad mein dekhi jayegi. So, of course, in I went. She had this lineup of people.
And I was even touching her cook's feet. I still remember. I didn't know who was who. So, sabke pav chhu liye. Then she started saying, "Acha, you have to do the jhadu and the pocha." I said, "मेरे घर में नहीं कभी किया, इधर झाड़ू पोछा करो, toothbrush से bathroom साफ करो." I said, "Okay, it doesn't matter." I learned one thing. What is a guru? I learned years later, now living in the United States and India, that it is not knowledge alone, or, the word, of course, we all know, gu and ru mean dispeller of darkness. It was step by step. Every time people ask me, "Oh, so what did she do for you? Did she give you a program?" A guru, I learned, is not supposed to give. It was, I grasped knowledge from observing her. Her way of teaching for me was being in her presence. The class was never 10 to 11, 11 to 2:30. It was the maximum I have ever learned was observing her. I used to watch her rehearsals for hours. She'd just get up and say, "Acha, you now sit there and try and compose and wo tal rakho." And I used to say, "I don't know, you've not taught this to me. I didn't know why I knew Sankirna Malaripu before I knew Tishram." That's when I realized it was just by osmosis. Not just that, it was learning about the sense of dress, the sense of color, the sense of how to conduct oneself, how to speak, Shastras. So I've always felt when I'm teaching now, there are four pillars. There is the home, the yoga, like they say, the ghar ki values, sanskar. Then you, of course, have your schools and institutions, so sab bolte, Stanford, Harvard, Princeton, wonderful institutions. But the two pillars that are lacking today and is the self-motivation and fire that we need to have. And we need someone who fans that fire. So I found the person who could fan it, who could show a path, and even with this years of distance, any critical point of my life or career, I go back to that very teaching that was imparted to me. And I didn't realize that there was no plan. But when I'm sitting there thinking, what do I do? Then I would say, yeah, Sonal told me. I don't think I should tell her it's all because of her. But it is because of her. Because certain things that I was taught that I didn't believe or agree as a 18 or 20 or 25-year-old, I more than agree now, because that is the whole path of wisdom that was given and that I was able to understand it today every single day. So unless you have access, which I was very fortunate to have had the brain to even go and insist that I had to learn from somebody like her. And she was a disciplinarian, thank God, but tremendous disciplinarian, which she has forgotten now. She said, "Ha, aake petro." Last time also I told her. We were taught why I pushed my chair back that the guru and the shishya never sit in line. So Sonalji has forgotten, I'm reminding her. So then she also taught me to argue a lot, which we used to argue. She says, "I'm like your mother." She's not like my mother. How can she be? She's only 16 years older than me. But the fun part was I saw her at her most glamorous self. Glamorous to the point that for this young girl, I was like, yeah, this is amazing. Look at the clothes she wears. There was no, of course she wore the most gorgeous saris and jewelry and all of that, but total style fashion icon. So when you're young, you need someone who can say, here is the Sanskriti, here is the beauty of the art, but there's someone who's creating, not just following rules. There's choreography happening. I'm watching her doing Navaras in different manners. Sita Swayamvar, where I see Sita come alive, questioning how Draupadi is done. All of that was layers and layers that was built over the years. Or she would say, just sit here and eat karelas with me. And I was like, why should I eat karelas? I don't like karelas. And you have to eat good and chapati. All of that was the old Guru Shishya Parampara. That today, unfortunately, I'm having karelas and I'm having good and roti even sitting in New York and telling everyone why it's so good and healthy. But the guru of what today, I don't know, but the olden days of what we studied, I was privileged That was a way of life, a way of how to deal with life, a way of how to move ahead and to keep thinking. The festivals that Sonalji started so early in Delhi, I saw her promoting young dancers who, that time, I remember it was Leela Sampson and Swapna Sundari and Banasri Das Gupta and Geeta Chandran and Geeta also with Kathak, Shashwati. Yes, so I recall all of them. I remember her inviting even Shanda Raoji, senior artist, of course. So for a young girl, I had to go pick them. I would tell her, Kishori ji is not coming because her Tanpura is off tune. And she'd say, go deal with it. I used to say, how do I deal with it? She used to say, you'll figure it out. That was learning. I had to figure it out. That I did not realize at that point. Or she would say, I said, just go and finish that item. Now go and do this. There was no, am I doing Manavi? She'd say, whenever I decide on stage, kya mood hai, so you better be prepared. It was that which really helped me today to understand spontaneity, your ability to create on stage and not say, acha, you know, this check mark and then yahan shuru karo, yahan khatam karo. Because she expected that, A, you never record. We used to have cassette players then. We didn't have photographs. I do not remember her ever allowing books and notebooks in class. She used to say, what, are you a channi or are you a sponge? No praise, but I was very happy that if she didn't glare at me, then I knew theek ho gaya. She'd come back from Germany between all her travels, and when she'd come back, you knew that you either had to get your full item done correctly or she was not going to teach you. There was no question that, oh, I'll rehearse, main bhool gayi. She's become very, very nice to all you disciples now. I think I would have been thrown out of that class. And it was scathing, the criticism, scathing. One learned to understand that it's not, I never thought, my rights, what are my rights? And my guru's talking to me like this. And I didn't have any anxiety. And I didn't get emotional trauma, all these terms that I use today. Nor did I go to a therapist. I became very strong. And it is that strength that I thank her for today that has got me through many hurdles, public, personal. I am involved in a lot of teaching activities or even meeting different kind of people, and I've not had to change or morph myself into something else. Living in the United States, I'm still speaking like this. I still uphold my heritage and culture. I feel the ability to speak what I think I don't agree with. And all of that is still back to the root, learning from my guru. So, on that note, thank you all for understanding what an amazing bond I have. Because when she says, you have to come, tumko aana hi hai, then you know it doesn't matter where I am, I have to drop everything. Because that is the guru asking something of the Shishya. And she really asks. She and the other one, Meera, who's come from Seattle, she was the first. And she remains, it's like an umbilical cord, यहाँ से ये connection है. तो सब फरियाद करते हैं पुराने वाले. Pramod is also here, they'll be speaking. They have become very lenient. I have not become lenient, I myself, but I think the takers are not strong enough. I think that all the dancers, musicians who are teaching, they'll agree with me. There's Nandini, Parul Ben, Kumud, Shubhendra ji, Saskia, Sharon, Shashwati, all. तो ये generational जो फर्क आता गया है, that I hope and I pray every day that does not somehow weaken the roots about which she spoke. जो जड़ें हैं वो ढीली होती जा रही हैं, तो पेड़ तो गिर जाएगा एक दिन, हम चाहें या ना चाहें. तो अभी के बच्चे कुछ कहो तो मुंह लटक जाता है, आंख में पल पल पानी आता है, क्रिटिसिज्म नहीं ले सकते. Parents are also very nice,
everybody is nice. Nice is a bad word actually. It's a bad word. I don't like that word. Somebody is nice. It's negative. You have to be, if you go to learn somewhere, if you go to school, you have to learn. You have to produce results. You go to learn dance, you go to learn music, you go to learn whatever, whatever. तो ये जो एक भावना है ना, the passion, पहले मैं कहूँ passion, तो we are lucky to have passion and if we recognize it. बहुत लोगों में passion है लेकिन उनको पता नहीं चलता किसके लिए है. But if you choose something, you do something. And as I keep telling somewhere when I get angry, I said, listen, I didn't come and मैंने आपको हाथ पकड़ के नहीं बुलाया है. आप आए हैं. आप सीखने आए हैं, तो सीखिए. हमने आपको नहीं आमंत्रित किया है. My Guruji, both Keru sir, Odissi and Professor Krishna Rao, especially, not Chandravara Devi. So I repeat that ad nauseum. कि हमने लकड़ियां खाई हैं जहाँ कोहनी बोन पे लगता है, घुटने बोन पे लगता है, तंबूरा बजता है अंदर, खड़ाक अप, खड़ाक अप, बिल्कुल सवाल ही नहीं. ये जो एक रिस्पेक्ट, दैट निष्ठा, दैट डेडिकेशन, कि आपको कुछ भी सीखना हो उसके लिए आपका मन पूरा तैयार कर लीजिए, वरना मत सीखिए. इतना ये जैसे चना मुरमुरा हो गया, मूंगफली हो गया, ये थोड़ा ठीक है, जानने के लिए अच्छा है, but when you come to learn, you go to learn anywhere. You have to have full respect, dedication, devotion and love for it. प्यार, प्रेम. ऊपर ऊपर से पैर छू लिए, अरे मत छुओ पैर मत छूइए. No need for that. तो मुझे ये सब सुन के बहुत खुशी भी हो रही है, आनंद हो रहा है. मेरे इतने बीते वर्षों में कुछ किया है, कोशिश कर रही हूँ आज भी. और मेरा तो यही कहना है कि आज की जनरेशन हो या कल की हो या परसों की आएगी, तो काल करे सो आज कर, आज करे सो अब, पल में परलय होएगी बहुरी करेगा का. तो आज का जो इसका वर्जन है, आज करे सो कल कर, कल करे सो परसों. इतनी जल्दी क्या है यारों, जब जीना है बरसों. Have you understood? No? I don't hear any. हाँ? Yes. तो नहीं, बच्चे बैठे हैं आज के हमारे, तो अंदर कुछ होता नहीं है. I see their faces मुरझाए हुए, आंखें डल. ये तो एक हो गया है ना, लैपटॉप पे काम करना है. कोविड has also taken its toll. How to get over these impediments, obstacles, ये आपको डांस सिखाता है. The physical strength, the emotional strength, mental strength to deal with situations. उसमें ये आप डूब गए तो जिंदगी क्या है? किसी को लगता होगा, मैंने भी सुना है सोनल जी तो you know she has no problems. Yes, I have no problems. I live in rented apartments all my life because I poured my money into building the institute. I've sold my jewelry. I've lived in various, little before you came to me, with friends or in IIC or in musicians' houses, 2-room houses, with 2 pitara, 2 bags. I've done all that. आज आप जो देख रहे हैं वो इसकी वजह से है जो बता रही थी स्वाति. Not giving up. पैशन है, उस रास्ते पे चलो, अपनी परीक्षाएं देते चलो. तो बस यही हमारी सेशन का अब अंत करते हैं.
After Sonal ji said all this, I wanted a message for the new students. Can you put your hand up, any of the students, young students? How many of you आप घर में या कभी स्त्री चलाई है आपने? अच्छा, ओके. तो मैं एक बात आपको समझा दूंगी, that सोनल जी के साथ रह के you learn time management, टाइम पे आना, सब लिख के मत रखो, अपने दिमाग में रखो. Be prepared, be disciplined, have humility. Have humility, not this, because वो तो humility माने मार मार के आपका ईगो निकाल देंगी. तो निकाल देंगी. So when people would tell me New York में, how come you don't praise your students? I said, Sonal ji's never praised me. Why should I praise them? I said, अब मैं शुरू कर दूँ. You are so good. I said, the fact that she never left the room, you were supposed to be grateful. If she left the room, it was like, भैया थोड़ा मुंह सीधा करो. आपको अभिनय नहीं आता, तो आप मत सीखिए. So you understood. You cringed with all of that. So a little episode of when I did make the film, the Hollywood film, The Man Who Knew Infinity and Warrior Queen, except for Sonal ji, everyone asked me, hey, you have no background in filmmaking. How did you make a Hollywood movie with 250 crew? The only one who didn't ask me is my own guru. Because on no budgets, I learned to work from her, run art shows, run around auditoriums, put up posters, create the posters under her, write letters and say, invite press, invite. This is as a teenager, you're learning this. What is the use of all your good education if I couldn't have written a letter? I didn't say, this is not my job, no. I will only come and dance and go. Having learned every single thing, when I was asked during my interviews in Toronto Film Festival and Tribeca, I said, if you have trained under someone like my guru, done 2 hours solo, and learned to smile at the end of it, I said, making a Hollywood film was no big deal. So I do want to end on that. It really wasn't a big deal. I even made the costumes because I went to Bollywood. Every costume designer did not understand historically what a Peshwa sari is. She had taught me how to look at weaves, how to look at colors, how to be minimalistic and yet maximize. Each of these traits are what makes you that whole artist, the whole dancer. A dancer is not just somebody who dances. It is the educator, the dancer, the painter, the person you are, the philosopher. And that I learned from my guru, Sonal. Thank you so much.
This was so heartwarming, Swati ji, and so inspiring. May I request Dr. Sonal Mansingh to felicitate Mrs. Swati ji? Our next panel consists of Sangeet Acharya Shri Bankim Sethi, Shri Chandrakant Sutar, and Ms. Pallavi Pramanik. May I request them to come up on stage? Veteran vocalist Bankim Sethi, who has been with Dr. Sonal since 1976, is also a recipient of the 2013 Sangeet Natak Academy Award.
मैं 11 साल उम्र में भागा क्योंकि मेरे मन में था इच्छा संगीत में मैं तो गाना गाता हूँ, यात्रा में गाता हूँ, थिएटर में गाता हूँ, लोग सब प्रशंसा करते हैं और क्या सीखना है। नहीं, मुझे पता चल गया था उड़ीसा के मिट्टी में जो खुशबू संगीत में है वो अब तक मेरे पास नहीं मिला, मेरे पास आया नहीं। तो उसके अन्वेषण में मैं गया और देखिए समझो बस कोई गुरु मिले जो मैं मन में चाहता था, अगर ये मिल जाए तो बहुत अच्छा। और संगीत महाविद्यालय में तब मैं एडमिशन लिया, 6 साल शिक्षा की और बाद में 1 साल इधर उधर भागा दौड़ी किया, अशांति रहा मन में। मैंने कहा कि क्या हुआ, मैं तो डिग्री ले लिया, ज्ञानी नहीं बना, मुझे ज्ञानी बनना है। ज्ञान तब मिलता है जब आपका एक्सपीरियंस बढ़ता है। बाहर मुझे जाना है, बाहर का जो वातावरण कैसा है और वो जब तक आपको ना पता चले तब तक कुछ नहीं मिलता। सोनाल जी के नाम और संयुक्ता पाणिग्राही जी के नाम, दोनों के नाम हम सुनते थे। मन में था कभी अगर मैं दिल्ली जाऊं तो सोनाल जी मिल सकते हैं। सोनाल जी के लिए मैं क्यों मन में रखा ध्यान, क्योंकि मुझे कुछ आगे करना है उड़ीसी नृत्य के माध्यम से, तो ऐसे एक स्थान में पहुंचे हुए कलाकार मुझे चाहिए। लेकिन मुश्किल काम है, चलो देखते हैं। 73 में मैं आ गया, 1973 दिल्ली। तो छोटा सा था दिल्ली, एक ही बस में घूमते थे सारा दिल्ली। तो जो भी हो, फिर आया वो सुवर्ण समय, मिला मुझे जो चाहिए था। और तब से आज तक 48 साल हो गया, 48 ईयर्स। और क्योंकि ये बहुत आवश्यक है, नृत्य को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए म्यूजिक चाहिए, म्यूजिक को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए नृत्य चाहिए। आप सोलो गा के आप बहुत बड़े गुरु बन सकते हैं, विद्वान बन सकते हैं, वो अलग बात है। वहां तक पहुंचने के लिए आपको कितने पापड़ बेलने पड़ते हैं। लेकिन संगीत के लिए नृत्य अगर माध्यम होगा तो नृत्य जहां जहां जाएगा संगीत वहां वहां चलेगी। वही हुआ। आज जो संगीत, उड़ीसी संगीत बोलने से लोगों को पता चलता है उनका टेक्निक कैसे ना नृत्य के माध्यम से आया। तो इसलिए मैंने सोनाल जी के साथ रहा, मेरा एक्सपीरियंस बहुत रहा, संक्षेप में मैं बता नहीं सकता। और एक चीज मैं कहूँगा कि आज के जो अभिभावक और बच्चे हैं, मैं कामाख्या कलापीठ में काफी दिन, 15 साल या मेरे ख्याल 17-18 साल रहा। बच्चे आए, फिर गए, फिर आते हैं, फिर जाते हैं। जो बच जाता है उनके ऊपर ध्यान जाता है। मैंने खुद देखा गुरुजी कैसे सिखाते हैं। जब तक बच्चा वो जगह में नहीं है कि मैं आया हूँ सीखने के लिए गुरु के पास, वो शिष्यत्व का जो एक अवधारणा मन में है वो तब नहीं है, तो माँ खींच के ले आते हैं जबरदस्ती, चल डांस सीखना है।
जब मैं गुरुजी के पास जाती हूँ तो जैसा स्वाति दीदी ने भी बताया कि कोई 1 घंटे या 2 घंटे की क्लास के लिए नहीं, ये एक तरीके से जिस तरह से हम स्कूल में एडमिशन लेते हैं उसी तरह से हमने गुरुजी के पास अपने आप को समर्पित कर दिया। तो गुरुजी के साथ रह के ऐसे तो कई वर्षों में कई चीज़ें हैं जो चंद घंटों में, चंद मिनट्स में नहीं बताई जा सकती, बट मैं कुछ थोड़ा बहुत शेयर करना चाहूँगी जिसमें जो मुझे कुछ चीज़ें जो मैं आज भी लेकर चलती हूँ कि गुरुजी ने सिर्फ नृत्य को उजागर करने के लिए, नृत्य के को आपके शरीर में ढालने के लिए नहीं काम किया। गुरुजी का आज तक भी यही प्रयास है। जो हम पुराने स्टूडेंट्स हैं हम ये मानते हैं, और आज उस वक्त शायद हमें ये नहीं समझ में आ रहा था, लेकिन आज समय के साथ साथ जब हम जीवन के अलग अलग रास्ते में पहुंच रहे हैं तब ये समझ में आ रहा है कि गुरुजी ने कुछ जो उसमें पॉइंट्स हैं। सबसे पहला आत्म अनुशासन, कि आप अगर सब कुछ भी विद्या लेना चाहते हैं, चाहे वो डांस हो, म्यूजिक हो, या हम किसी भी क्षेत्र में अपनी विद्या पाना चाहते हैं, तो सबसे पहले सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन होना बहुत ज़रूरी है, जिसमें गुरुजी ने हमें योग के माध्यम से और कई संस्कृत के श्लोक हैं, और जिसमें सिर्फ आपका मन और शरीर ही नहीं, आपकी पूरा ओवरऑल डेवलपमेंट होता है उससे, उन सब चीज़ों पे ध्यान दिया। दूसरा, गुरुजी ने हमेशा इस चीज़ पर यह किया कि आप जो भी सीख रहे हो उसकी निरंतर साधना करिए। जो हम क्या करते हैं, आजकल लोगों को लगता है कि एक आइटम सीख लिया हो गया, बट गुरुजी ने हमेशा इस चीज़ पे जोर दिया कि जो भी सीख रहे हो उसको समझ के करो। इसलिए कई बार हमें डांस क्लास में ऐसा नहीं कि हम सिर्फ जाकर सिर्फ आइटम प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं, कई बार ऐसी क्लासेस भी होती थी कि गुरुजी का जो घर था C304 डिफेंस कॉलोनी में, हम लोग गुरुजी ने एकदम से सब बच्चों को कहा कि चलिए सामने वाले पार्क में चलते हैं। तो वो जो नेचर वॉक होता था, तो उसमें उस टाइम आज मैं ये फील कर पा रही हूँ, क्योंकि उस टाइम पे गुरुजी हमें बताती, तुमने ये पेड़ की टहनी देखी कैसे झूल रही है, या उस पक्षी को देखा, तो हम मेरे साथ मेरी दूसरी पल्लवी भी थी जो भरतनाट्यम करती, तो हम दोनों एक दूसरे को देखते थे, क्योंकि कई बार हमें नहीं समझ में आता था कि गुरुजी का क्या। लेकिन धीरे धीरे समय के साथ जब हमारी उम्र भी बढ़ी, तब हमें समझ में आया कि गुरुजी का वो क्या तात्पर्य, कि अपने डांस को कैसे रियलिस्टिक बनाना, कि ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ जाकर आप 3-4 स्टेप्स कर रहे हो या एक अड़हू कर रहे हो या अरसा कर रहे हो। पूरे, चाहे आप 5 मिनट का डांस करें या 10 मिनट का डांस करें, हर प्रैक्टिस आपका एक परफॉर्मेंस के बराबर होना चाहिए। गुरुजी ने एक बात ये भी कही थी कि 100 रिहर्सल एक प्रोग्राम के बराबर होता है कई बार। तो वो हमें प्रैक्टिस, क्योंकि कई बार हम सोचते थे कि अभी हम ऐसे ही कर लेते हैं, स्टेज पे अच्छा करेंगे, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं होता। हमेशा उसका जो चीज़ आप निरंतर अभ्यास कर रहे हैं, उस चीज़ को ही वो धीरे धीरे निखरता है। और सबसे बड़ी बात जो गुरुजी की क्लास में हम योग साधना के साथ साथ संस्कृत के मैंने हिंदी में ग्रेजुएशन किया था, किंतु संस्कृत मेरा जो डेवलप हुआ है वो गुरुजी के साथ, क्योंकि आज मुझे इतने श्लोक पता है और उसका अर्थ भी पता है, जस्ट बिकॉज गुरुजी हमें उनके माता जी के जो सापुतारा में जो इंस्टीट्यूट था वहाँ पर लेकर गई थी। वहाँ उन्होंने सिर्फ हमें ट्रैकिंग करते करते उन्होंने नवग्रह श्लोक सिखा दिया, जो मुझे आज तक याद है। ये 20 साल पहले की बात मैं बता दूँ। तो कुछ एग्जाम्पल ऐसे हैं जो हमारे साथ साथ अभी तक चल रहे हैं। उस टाइम पे हम शायद नहीं समझ पा रहे थे, लेकिन आज जो विद्या गुरुजी से मिली है इतने सालों में, वो कहीं भी बेकार नहीं गई है। एक बस आखिरी चीज मैं बताना चाहूंगी कि गुरुजी का हर बात पे, जैसे उन्होंने एग्जाम्पल दिया कि काल करे सो आज कर, तो इसी तरह कभी कोई दोहा या कुछ पंक्तियों के द्वारा गुरुजी ने हर बात को समझाने की कोशिश की। तो एक बार मैं कोई आइटम प्रैक्टिस करते करते भूल गई थी जो गुरुजी ने सिखाई थी। गुरुजी ने कुछ पंक्तियां ऐसे बोली, पान सड़े घोड़ा अड़े विद्या विसर जाए, तावे पर रोटी जले कहो गुरु कौन उपाय। तब गुरुजी ने उसका अंत में एक उपाय बताया, फेरा न था। जैसे हम पान के पत्तों को एक साथ रखते हैं, अगर उसको आपने देखा होगा कि पान की दुकान पर अगर वो बार बार उनको छांटते हैं, तो अगर छांटेंगे नहीं तो वो सड़ जाएगा। घोड़े को अगर हम उसका चक्कर नहीं लगाएंगे नियमित रूप से, तो वो अड़ा रहेगा और जब जरूरत होगी तो वो तैयार नहीं होगा। विद्या को अगर हम रेगुलर, कोई भी विद्या को अगर रेगुलर प्रैक्टिस नहीं करेंगे, तो वो आपके दिमाग से निकल जाएगा। तावे पे अगर रोटी को पलटेंगे नहीं तो वो भी जल जाएगा। उसी तरह यही था कि हमें लगातार निरंतर अपना जो भी हम सीख रहे हैं उसको हमें अपने साथ निरंतर अभ्यास में लाते रहना चाहिए। इसी के साथ में गुरुजी को प्रणाम करते हैं। आप सबका
प्रणाम गुरुजी। यहाँ पे उपस्थित सभी गुरुजनों को मेरा नमस्कार, दादा प्रणाम। जब मैंने अभी भी मेरा हार्ट बीट चल रहे हैं, डर है, क्योंकि गुरुजी के सामने बैठा हूँ और गुरुजी ने मुझे ये अवसर दिया यहाँ पे गुरुजी के सामने बैठ के कुछ बोलने के लिए। तो मैं कृतज्ञ से भी बहुत आगे बढ़े हूँ, कहाँ तक उसकी शब्द नहीं है। और गुरुजी के लिए मैं अगर कुछ बोलूँ तो उस भाषा को उसमें ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। मैं लास्ट 10 साल से मैं गुरुजी के साथ रहा हूँ। ये सब बिल्कुल मैं इनको दादा ही बोलता हूँ, दादाजी के वजह से ही है। मैं पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन हूँ उत्कल यूनिवर्सिटी से, भुवनेश्वर से, ओडिसी डांस फील्ड में। हमारे उड़िया में कहावत है कि डालमा जो होता है, एक डिश होती है डालमा, जिसमें दाल होती है और सारे सब्जियां डालते हैं हम उसमें, और उस सारे सब्जी बनने के बाद उसमें छोंक डाला जाता है। तो जब तक वो छोंक नहीं डाला जाता तब तक डालमा संपूर्ण नहीं होता है। तो मैं पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन तो कर लिया, तो मैं डालमा बन गया था, लेकिन दिल्ली आके जब मैं गुरुजी के शरण में गया, वो छोंक मुझे यहीं से ही मिला। तो गुरुजी, अगर मैं वो स्पेशल डिश हूँ आज, तो गुरुजी बिकॉज ऑफ यू ओनली गुरुजी। तो अगर मैं आज कुछ यहाँ पे बोल भी पा रहा हूँ गुरुजी, आपके वजह से ही बोल पा रहा हूँ, वो छोंक के वजह से ही बोल पा रहा हूँ मैं आज कुछ भी बोल पा रहा हूँ। तो सबने, मैम ने बोला, साथी मैम ने बोला, पलक जी ने बोला, इन लोगों गुरुजी के साथ इतने कई सालों से काम किया है। मैं तो अभी 8 साल उसके मतलब जो भी है अंत तक आपसे जो भी सीखा है उसको आगे लेते जाऊंगा गुरुजी। सर प्रणाम सभी लोग।
अंत में प्रणाम करता हूँ सोनल जी। इनको मैंने बड़ी बहन माना, मैं छोटा भाई हुआ। घर के अंदर भाई बहन का कभी पड़ता नहीं है, बहुत कम पड़ता है, लेकिन परिवार के लिए दोनों खड़े होते हैं। इस तरह हमारा रिलेशन रहा है और मैं हमेशा अंत तक यही सोचूंगा कि मेरा जो आज संगीत में अग्रगति हुई है वो ऊपर वाला का एक बहुत बड़ा आशीर्वाद था इनके साथ रहने का। मैं कुछ शुरू किया था बातें अभिभावक लोगों के लिए, बच्चों को जो सिखा रहे हैं और जो नहीं सिखा रहे हैं। लेकिन बच्चों को सिखाना, और ये मत सोचिए कि सीखना समाप्त हो गया, पढ़ाई कर ली, डिग्री ले लिया, सर्टिफिकेट ले लिया, खत्म हो गया। नहीं, मानविकता सीखे नहीं है, व्यवहार सीखा नहीं है, वाक शुद्धता नहीं है। आप कितने बड़े ऑफिसर बने हुए हैं, लेकिन बोलते जब है कटु लगता है सुनने में। तो इस तरह का लाइफ बन जाएगा अगर आप संगीत नृत्य के माध्यम से बच्चों को नहीं भेजेंगे। तो ये हमारा विश्वास है, क्योंकि इसमें इतनी चीजें हैं जो कि बारीक से गुरुजी सिखाते। मैं देखा कि इतनी चीजें हैं कि मामी लोग आके बैठ के सीखते हैं। और ये भी इनका निर्देश था कि जब तक मामी लोग सेटिस्फाइड नहीं है तब तक आप इनको डांटो, ये करो, घर में प्रैक्टिस कराओ, फिर जाके यहाँ आए। तो इस तरह सब अनुभव है, मुझे पता है, पर प्रोग्रेस नहीं हो रहा है, बहुत स्लो। इसका कारण है जो अभी बताए, जो जो डिसिप्लिन्स है यहाँ, उसके प्रति हम ध्यान नहीं देते। सिर्फ 1 घंटे के लिए आते हैं, सीखते हैं, चले जाते हैं। ये बहुत जरूरी है। बच्चों का माइंड से लेकर नख से सिख तक ज्ञान हो जाएगा जब संस्कृत बोल के जब भाषा में शुद्धता आ जाएगा जो। और कला संस्कृति में हमारे भारत में झुकना पड़ता है बड़े बुजुर्गों के सामने, बड़े गुणी के सामने, गुरु के सामने तो है ही। तो इस तरह का जो एक संस्कार मिलता है वो नहीं मिल पा रहा है। मैं 50 साल से देख रहा हूँ, दिल्ली में ही बच्चे सीख रहे हैं, स्कूल में, कॉलेज में पहुँच गए हैं, वहाँ फैकल्टी में जाकर सीख रहे हैं, कुछ नहीं हो रहा है। जब तो गुरु के पास नहीं जाएंगे तब तक नहीं होगा। साधते रहो, साधना साधना साधना, कुछ नहीं होता जब तक उसको आप उपासना के दृष्टि में ना देखें। आप अभ्यास करो, अभ्यास करो, अभ्यास करो, बट ये एक समर्पण भावना गुरु प्रति वो पहले चाहिए, फिर जाके आपका प्रोग्रेस होता। सोनाल जी की ऐसे ही प्रतिष्ठा हमेशा 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 के लिए झंडा उड़ते रहे, यही जगन्नाथ जी के पास मेरा निवेदन है।
Mansingh ji, I'm sure, I'm glad कि digitally broadcast हो रहा है ये प्रोग्राम, जिससे सारे बच्चे जो सुन रहे हैं आपको और गुरु जी को, उन्हें कुछ सीखने को मिलेगा। I now request Pandit Shubhendra Rao to come up and felicitate our panelists.
सच्ची बताऊं, जब मैं बच्चों को कोई भी उनको बोलता हूँ ऐसे रहिए या फिर आप लाइन में रहिए या कभी भी रिहर्सल के लिए जी, जो नृत्य में हमेशा जब भी मैं बच्चों को सिखाता हूँ गुरु जी को स्मरण में रख के सिखाता हूँ। गुरु जी होती तो कैसे सिखाते हो, और मैं बच्चों से भी पूछता हूँ गुरु जी ने कैसे सिखाया था। अगर मैं भूल जाता हूँ तो गुरु जी से मैं पूछता हूँ कि बच्चों से पूछता हूँ कि गुरु जी ने तुमको कैसे सिखाया, मुझे ये बताओ। फिर जाके मैं उनको, अगर वहीं पे अगर कोई गड़बड़ करती है तो फिर मैं जाके उनको आगे सिखाता हूँ। बस गुरु जी को स्मरण रख के जितना भी काम हो सकता है मैं वही करता हूँ।
Thank you so much, Pandit Shubhendra, Bankim ji, Chandrakant ji, and Pallavi ji. We shall now proceed to the release of the brochure, which has been specially taken out for this year's Deeksha Samaroh. I request Dr. Sonal Mansingh, Dr. Sachidanand Joshi, if he's here. I believe he's in a meeting, I think. Dr. Priyanka Mishra, Director IGNCA, and Shri Ganga Kumar, Member Board of Directors CICD, to come up and do the honors for the brochure release. May I also invite the panelists for our next discussion, Professor Malashri Lal, Srimati Nandini Ramani, and Dr. Professor Ashish Khokar to join us on stage. Thank you so much, all of you. For our next panel discussion, we already have the panelists on stage. Professor Malashri Lal will moderate the discussion. To tell you a little about each of them, प्रोफेसर मालश्री और सोनल जी की दोस्ती बहुत पुरानी है. इन दोनों ने साथ मिलकर टैगोर पर काम किया है. Dancer, scholar, and guru, Professor Malashri is a highly respected, eminent educationist and has been on the international jury of the Booker Prize. श्रीमती नंदिनी रमनी आधुनिक भारत के महान संस्कृतविद और भारतीय संस्कृति के विद्वान डॉक्टर वी राघवन की पुत्री हैं और विश्व प्रख्यात भारतनाट्यम नृत्यांगना श्रीमती टी बाल सरस्वती जी की शिष्या हैं. भारत में कुछ ही संस्कृत नाटक मंडलियां हैं जिनमें से एक इनकी है. She has come especially from Chennai to be with us here today. Professor Ashish Mohan Khokar from Bangalore pioneered arts administration in India and is a well-known cultural personality with solid work in the field in the last 4 decades. He is a reputed scholar, critic, author with 45 books to his credit. The number may be more, sir, I may be wrong there, but this is. Currently, he is a national culture columnist for the Hindu, 21 Cities edition. I now request Professor Malashri to take the discussion ahead. Dr. Sandhya Purecha is unable to join us today due to some unavoidable circumstances.
It's been a very moving session all morning today. My deepest congratulations to Dr. Sonal Mansingh for the outstanding quality of life that she has placed before us. She has been exemplary for many of us. And I just want to recall the time when I first met her when I was a college student in Jaipur. And Sonalji had come there to give a performance. And it was, of course, a spectacular performance. But along with that, I was deeply impressed by her personality. The absolute confidence, beauty, grace, and also the reverence for Indian traditions that she put through in her performances and in the stories and narratives that she placed before her audience. After that, I married, came to Delhi, started teaching at the University of Delhi, from where I retired a few years ago. But while I was in the university and held the position of Director of Women's Studies and then as Dean, my one objective was to extend Guru Sonal Mansingh's teachings to the students of Delhi University. It was very important that it should go beyond the ambit of only the dance students or an audience in an auditorium. It was important for me to see the interaction between Sonalji and my students at DU. And Bharatji is here, so he knows what institution I'm talking about. So the two occasions I briefly will mention is the time when Sonalji came to South Campus, and in the talk that she gave, my interest is in gender equality and gender studies and women's studies in that area. And so is Sonal's interest in promoting the idea of the equality of man and woman. And understandably, her talk moved towards talking of Ardhanarishwar and Shiva and Parvati. And I recall the time when she narrated the story of Shiva and Parvati and the churning of the ocean, and how there was great danger to the world till Parvati's intervening hand stopped the poison from spreading. And it was Shiva's throat that the poison was then lodged in. And yet, as her lecture continued, she showed that the same Shiva and Parvati, when it came to a dance competition between the two of them, and Parvati would have done better, but Shiva took a particular kind of dance pose that Parvati as a woman could not imitate. And therefore, the point is that sometimes it's a trickery that creates a hierarchies in our societies. And this was a marvelous illustration from Sonalji, how we can revisit mythology and from that learn many aspects of our culture and question those aspects and find newer interpretations. The second time that I recall was at the Viceregal Lodge of Delhi University, which is the office of the Vice Chancellor. And when I was asked, we want a wonderful speaker for a very special occasion, I said, of course, Dr. Sonal Mansingh. That was another memorable time when in the old ballroom of the Viceregal Lodge, which has become the convention center for the Vice Chancellor's office at Delhi University, Sonalji spoke and demonstrated Tagore and the Ashtanayika. When the topic first came to me, and I'm a Bengali, I said, how is this going to work? Because Tagore didn't directly write about the Ashtanayika. And we had a marvelous discussion, the two of us. It was always a joy to speak to Sonal. And then what came on the stage was outstanding innovation as to how we can bring together different strands in our country, the different languages, the different traditions, to put forward a message that among the languages there is a similarity. In the cultural nuances there is a commonality. And that we can reinterpret the traditions such as the Ashtanayika, truly Bengali lyrics of Rabindranath Tagore, which Sonalji can sing. It is absolutely mesmerizing to see the manner in which the consolidation, the coordination, and the innovation happens when she speaks to the students. So thank you, Sonal, for being a guru to many of the students of the University of Delhi and for those marvelous visits. And there is more to say. If there is time, I will do that. But for now, I will move on to our panelists. First, I will turn to Ramaniji, who has also had a very long association with Sonalji and is a marvelous critic of dance and, of course, a great performer. I have seen you at times on the stage, so please go ahead, Nandini.
Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam. Namaskaram, Sonalji. I feel quite nervous to speak in front of her. I think it is also celebration for our friendship. I met her first in 1962. Not personally, of course, in a performance. I was 12 years. She was performing in Chennai in a hall which was then known as Kalaivana Rangam. Unforgettable performance, Bharatnatyam. And imagine who was conducting it, Guru Dandairapani. And the chief guest, my father. So he said, come, we must go to a dance performance. We went. I think maybe she did Manali Chaikonaganda or some kind of I don't remember. Master conducting for a student, visiting student, is something very special in those days. Because she came in that lineage, Dandairapani was very willing to conduct her. It was an out of the world performance. Sonalji was 17, 27, 45, 17 years, 40, so 18 years. So charming. She was appearing like a lightning on the stage. The bhavam, the rhythm, the laya aspects. Those things still remain in my mind very fresh. My father spoke of the performance. Of course, my father was earlier associated with her grandfather, the great Mohandas Pakwaza, was former governor and a great Sanskrit scholar. So my father said he had visited him in his governor's bungalow where Sonalji would have lived there. So the friendship is there right from that period. And after that 1962, within 2-3 years, Sonalji came to Chennai with Guruji Kelu Mahapatra. My father being the secretary of Madras Music Academy, he organized the first ever lecture demonstration on Odissi. Guruji was there and Sonalji was performing. It was a landmark event. Academy audience full because something new was happening. My father was known for creating such special programs, and this one was really a wonderful occasion, which I attended fully and came to know about Odissi form, and my father used to talk about it a lot after the demonstration. I remember her even visiting us at our house then, and the journey continued, though I was not directly involved. My Guru Bala Saraswati was also there in that performance. Then Sonalji started coming to Chennai for performances. So many times in the class also she used to say about Guruji and Sonalji. Those are all nice memories. And at one point of time in 2000, a common friend of ours reminded me, who after that he passed away also, he reminded me that Sonalji would be coming to Chennai and if I would be of associating with her. So that was the time again we revived. Maybe I think it is 2003. Then I was dance correspondent for the Hindu for many years. So I told the office, Sonalji is here, shall I make an interview? So I went to meet her at the hotel. I was also secretary Music Academy at that time. So the next year I invited Sonalji there, and the ties became stronger. I tried to understand her. She's not an easy person to understand, so many layers. But having grown with the two tough disciplinarians, Dr. Raghavan and Bala Saraswati, it's not that difficult to manage with Sonalji because she comes in the next level of next generation. Those teachers, Dr. Raghavan and Bala Saraswati, they were like Mauna Gurus. They wouldn't talk anything. They will expect so much from you, which was very difficult those days. But with Sonalji, it was easier because she is right there telling you what to do, where you are wrong. Even if it is sometimes a very sharp comment, I always took it with a very respectful feeling because she was like an older sister telling me where I. She always said, as Swati said, assert yourself. Even this morning she said, come forward, stand here. Like that, she gave that energy. And around that time in 2004-5, turbulent period was there for me at the Madras Music Academy. What happened to Sonalji here in Sangeet Natak Academy happened to me in Chennai. She was like a savior. She said, don't worry, look ahead. You are meant for a bigger platform. Come, she dragged me. With all my training and all that, I was nowhere. And my face was completely wiped off from the scene. People were trying to do that, and I couldn't take it because no father was gone, Bala was gone, nobody was there. Sonalji came as a big pillar of support. Sit. Why are you sitting here? Come. She dragged me to Sangeet Natak Academy, gave me a big exposure. So many things I could learn from her by observing her. The way to talk, the way to assert your views. Still, I think that sense of assertion, I still have to improve on that, I feel. So it was like a journey. She was holding me like a older sister, taking me along. I feel so emotional because in the art field, you don't find such genuine souls. Everybody says on the face so many things, but nothing happens. Or sometimes there is backstabbing. So here this grand lady who was a pioneer for training in twin systems of dance, even in those days. Bharatnatyam, she saw the standard of excellence in that. Great gurus, then Odissi, where she reigned supreme for several decades. We all know all that. And the lady of grit, we know the path she traveled, personal hurdles, unfailing spirit. Amma, I don't know how you managed that. Even during Corona, many of you, all of us watched her give talks on so many subjects, so many layers of abhinaya. Suddenly she will call, hey, can you check that text for me? I want the shloka. I want that meaning of that particular word. Any time of the day, can I disturb you? I just want this. So much. I also learned in that process. One day she was asking something about the Vasanta Ritu and the bee and all that. Luckily, I found a verse of my father in Samskrita Pratibha of the Sahitya Academy. I could immediately narrate it to her, and she was so happy. I think she even talked about it in the next episode and did some abhinaya for that. Such is her amazing personality. I'm not making it as a, narastuti. It is coming from my heart. So much of energy, so much of affection. I always think she is like a jackfruit. Outwardly, she looks very with all those protruding things. But inside, if you open and open, there is this soft, nice, you know, fruit portion, which gives you eternal sweetness. That I really admire you in Sonalji, and the way you have guided me. You have not been my direct guru, but the words of wisdom, the ideas, the several concepts that we discussed. Sometimes you, although you were older to me, you always asked me, you tell me, you advise. I don't know about Chennai, you had to tell me. This kind of openness. She used to suddenly look like a child at that time for me. She had a childish nature in her heart. Many may not agree with that, but I have experienced it. It happens to close friends. I'm so fortunate that she is there for me and still guiding me. Every work of hers during my writing period in the Hindu, I felt so emotional. Jara. Jara was a grand success. What a concept, what an execution, and what a solo theatre it was. Fantastic. And then Dashamahavidya, that was another very tough and very highly tantric and philosophical thing, which she could handle so very deeply and very sensitively. The way she gave the narrations, especially in Chennai, because the Chennai audience, many of them are not aware of the aspects of her productions. She used to give a very, very fluid, easy flowing narration. And the Shamahavidya was also a very grand success, having staged in most platforms in Chennai. And for 17 or 18 years, Sonalji was coming and performing in all the sabhas in Chennai.
I think there are so many stories you would love to hear.
But what I'm saying, to conclude, when this difficult times appeared around the 2000s, and I was amazed at the way she took her art in her hands and showed her manifestation. I was there for no fault of hers. She was only trying to set up strict discipline. So that time the art came in hand, and then we could see the many facets of her creativity.
Indeed, there are many, many facets to Sonalji. Thank you so much for those beautiful remembrances and the tribute to Dr. Sonal Mansingh. I request now Dr. Coker to talk about his views on Sonal Mansingh ji and his long association with Sonal Mansingh.
Om Saraswati Namastubbhyam Vardikam Rupini Vidyaramam Karishyami Siddhi Bhavatu Me Sada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Namo Namaha. कामाख्या देवी की जय और कामाख्या देवी की जय। एक शिक्षक और एक सूत्रधार को खड़े होकर कहने की आदत है, इसलिए आई यूज द पोडियम। सोनल जी के बारे में कुछ कहना मतलब सूरज को दिया दिखाना। Sometimes I wonder if it's one person or 10 avatar in one person. Having known her for 40 years, on stage and off stage for almost 50, she represents to me 5 points. I have 7 minutes. I know the chair is very strict. I would use it efficiently to convey 5 points for those of us who are interested in history, contextualization, and where art forms have developed. First things first, as Sonati herself said, don't look at her state and station in life now. Please go back to 1940s and 50s, when dance was only for hereditary families mostly. There were very few metro, and metro was only Bombay. Delhi was a village in 1950s. Please understand, we may feel very modern now, but until the 80s, Delhi was a village. पालम गांव पे गायें आती थी, आपको रिसीव करने गायें वहीं खड़ी होती थी। तो आप सोचिए कि 50s में एक मेट्रो इंडिया से एक पढ़ी लिखी डायनेमिक जिसको सब पॉसिबिलिटी थी लाइफ में, साइंस, कॉमर्स, आर्ट्स, takes to this forum of classical dance. That itself is a cause for celebration, because for that she left her home, the comfort of home, go to find a guru, first in Jayalakshmi Alva ji in Bombay. Bangalore आई US Krishna Rao जी के, and गवर्नर की पोती गवर्नर के महल राजभवन में रह रही हैं, लेकिन the strict guru said she'll have to come home to learn, and she went to learn every time. Till the end, I saw in Guru Purnima, I was sitting with him 1 year before he passed away. A money order came from Sonal ji. I was sitting with him, I was documenting him, and the money order said, for Guru Purnima, mera pranam. 50 साल बाद भी सोनल जी उनको मनी ऑर्डर से उस टाइम गुरु दक्षिणा भेज रही थी। बड़ी बात है, आजकल अगले दिन गुरुओं को याद नहीं रखते। So he remembered that very affectionate. So you see, गुरु शिष्य परंपरा बड़ी विडंबना की बात नहीं है। अगर आपको लगन है तो आप करेंगे, अगर लगन नहीं है, जैसे सोनल जी ने शुरुआत में ही कहा, तो प्लीज डू समथिंग एल्स। हैव यू हर्ड ऑफ हाफ डेंटिस्ट एंड हाफ पायलट? नो, बट you can't be half surgeon, half doctor, half lawyer, or half anything. Then why do young people think they can be half dancer or quarter musicians? I have not understood this in modern India today, that dance is not a hobby, it is a way of life. पैशन भी खत्म हो जाएगा, लेकिन डांस एंड आर्ट विल नेवर एंड, यू नो, इट इज फॉर एवर। सो आपको इसमें जहाँ सरस्वती आएगी, लक्ष्मी अपने आप आती है, थोड़ी टाइम लगा के आती है, लेकिन आती जरूर है, बट सरस्वती की कृपा हमेशा रह जाती है। इतने गुणी लोग हैं इस सभा में, इतने गुणवान, यशवान, धनवान। मैं छोटी सी संतान, पहले से माफी चाहता हूँ, क्योंकि छोटी सी मेरा जन्मदिन 4 साल में एक बार आता है, तो मैं इस सभा में सबसे अनुज हूँ, 15.5 वर्षीय, बरोड़ा बॉर्न जी। तो सोनल जी की अभी चर्चा हुई, नंदनी अक्का ऑल्सो सेड, ना तमिल पेसाद ये ಎಲ್ಲರೂ हिंदी इंग्लिश लेंगे पेसेंग। दो स्टाइल मेंटेन करना इजी नहीं है, वो भी बेंचमार्क के साथ। सीखने को आप 5 भी सीख लीजिए, लेकिन 2 स्टाइल में आपको, क्योंकि एक बार आपके अंग में भरतनाट्यम बैठ जाता है, फिर कथक बहुत सिंपल लगता है। कथक अगर सिंपल आप शुरुआत करें तो उसमें अली जोड़ के कथक अली नहीं कर सकते। तो आपको दो फॉर्म एक शरीर में बैठना और दोनों को बड़े ईमानदारी से निभाना और उसमें इस मकाम पे पहुंचना ताकि आपको लगे कि पूरी विश्व आपकी कला के प्रेमी हो, ये बहुत बड़ी अचीवमेंट है, कोई छोटी अचीवमेंट नहीं है। एस फॉर सोनल जी, बट आई ऐड एस फॉर स्पंक, substance, sharpness, scholarship. Please don't mess with her over dates in history. She has elephantine memory. आप कुछ कोट करेंगे ना 1944 से तो कहेंगे नहीं ये 1943 and a half में हुआ था. She remembers it because she's an academic mind. See, dancer doesn't mean just being on stage. That is the end product of the craft and the skill you have acquired over decades. A dancer means a complete artist. अभी बंकिम दा ने कहा कि आप सिर्फ म्यूजिक नहीं सीख रहे, आप गुरु को कैसे प्रणाम करते हैं, गुरु के सामने कितना झुकते हैं, गुरु को गुरु मानते हैं कि नहीं, यही बड़ी बात है. सो डांसर इज व्हेन शी इज एकेडमिक, शी नोज दिस स्टफ, शी नोज हिस्ट्री ऑफ ओडिसी और फोक फॉर्म्स, इवन फिल्म्स. Let's not be judgmental. No art form is bad. It is an art form. It is Saraswati's kripa. So when we think of scholarship, when you think of quotes, when you think of substance, spunk, let's all agree it's been a man's world. नारी शक्ति तो इन लोगों के कारण उज्जवल हुई है. कामाख्या देवी यहाँ बैठी है. It's in a man's world. You have fought babudom, you have fought kingdoms, you have fought politiciandom.
All dum-dum.
All dum-dums. So it is not easy to maintain as a woman your own Shakti and rights and meet the world on your own terms. That itself is role modeling. पद्म विभूषण इनको मिला हुआ कला के लिए, लेकिन और पद्म विभूषण भी मिल सकते हैं for other aspects of life because you have created a space for other women as a role model to take this many concerns of society forward. What do we mean by institutions? Is it a building? Is it staff? Is it people? Individuals are institutions. Such individuals don't need to create institution. ये इन्होंने बनाई, जो उनके साथ बैठी है स्वाति भिड़े. मैं हमेशा आपको भिड़े के नाम से ही जानता था. जिसे when I said oh the B has become S, Swati Gupte. So I said, I asked Nalla Rajan uncle in New York. I said there was a Swati who was such a good dancer in India, and now she's settled in New York. So I remember him speaking very fondly about the critic of New York, Nalla Rajan ji, always spoke very highly of Swati. So your art had gone and made home in faraway New York in the days when New Yorkers really didn't know much about India or Indian dance. It is thanks to artists like you who took it and prachar kiya. So ab Bharat, if it is shining everywhere in dance world or music or arts, this is actually a best calling card. It is not steel or it is not other symbols. It is the arts. This is our best branding. योग कहिए, कला कहिए, संस्कृत कहिए, योग जितनी भी चीजें हैं प्राचीन हमारी जो चली आ रही हैं, प्राचीन तब थी, इन्होंने टिकाया, इसलिए अब तक बच गई. In 75 years of our existence, there's only one lone dancer in the parliament nominated. The first and maybe the last, क्योंकि डांस को इतनी इम्पोर्टेंस दी गई because of totality of culture. रुक्मी देवी जी भी गई थी parliament, but she went for animal rights and vegetarianism. Under another, they are both 29th February born, Morarji Desai ji and Rukmini Devi ji. So I always think of them when the birthdays come. But they were nominated not for dance alone. Sonal ji is the alone person for her dance and for her art and for complete package in terms of culture. Culture is a very big word. Actually, it's an English word and हमारी परिभाषा में यही प्रॉब्लम आ रही है कि कल्चर को हम क्या कहें, संस्कृति, या एक बार आपने चर्चा की थी 20 साल पहले एंड यू सेड कि इसका हिंदी वर्ड हम क्या यूज करें, तो मैंने कहा कृष्टि, क्योंकि दृष्टि नहीं है, सृष्टि नहीं है, कृष्टि. तो वी हैड दिस डिस्कशन. सी सोनल जी इज अ थिंकिंग माइंड. वी यूज दीज वर्ड्स वेरी लूजली. थिंकिंग डांसर, मैंने कहा क्या बाकी नहीं सोचते, बट थिंकिंग डांसर मीन्स यू थिंकिंग ऑफ इट ऑल द टाइम. आप कहीं पे भी हो, ट्रेन में हो, प्लेन में हो, यहाँ हो, कहीं हो, आपके मन में टेक अप ऑन आइडिया, as स्वामी विवेकानंद जी said, make that idea your life, think of it, dream of it, live on it. Let the brain, muscles, nerves, every part of that body be full of that idea. She is a living example that she has taken these art forms forward. I have done last minute to conclude. I know you're smiling very sweetly at me. So I would conclude. I think I'm standing out of habit, but we need to give her a standing ovation. Please do.
Thank you, Nandini ji and Ashish ji. That was a befitting tribute to Dr. Sonal Mansingh. The standing ovation is very well deserved indeed. Thank you for being a guru to all of us, Sonal ji, and for teaching us so many aspects of life and giving us the leadership to think afresh, think anew, think in new ways all the time. Thank you. But there is much more to Sonal ji, but I really respect you in many, many ways, but also deeply because you're making us think in a contemporary way about our older mythologies. I'm deeply grateful personally for the work that you've done for our books on Sita and Radha. And these are just examples of how we can learn, as he said, to be intelligently interpreting the past for the present. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I request Mrs. Swati Bisni to come up. I request Professor Parampara to please felicitate.
She was Dean of Arts, MS University, Baroda, and herself Bharatnatyam, Kalakshetra style. In fact, her guru, Srimati Anjali Maid, was the first student of Rukmini Devi. And she has her own school, and she's a scholar, and she's full-bright scholar, and God knows what else. But she's lovely. She's lovely, I said. Really lovely. मेरी स्टूडेंट कोई क्लैप नहीं कर रही अभी की जो बच्चियां हैं उनकी मम्मियां हैं.
The conversations have been so inspiring and actually literally goosebumpy. You spoke very well.
Thank you, Nandini. Go. I especially wanted Durga. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, also. Thank you.
It's a pleasure for me to sit and listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our last panel discussion of the morning, before we ask the audience to join us in an interaction, is one with Shri Arjun Puri as the moderator and Dr. Kumud Diwan, Vidushi Saskia Rao Dahas, Pandit Shubhendra Rao, and Dr. Anand Kumar participating. We request them all to come up on stage. श्री अर्जुन पुरी ऑरोविल से आए हैं और गुरु जी के पुराने मित्र हैं. कला, संस्कृति और भारतीयता के क्षेत्र में ये एक अत्यंत जानकार व्यक्ति हैं. डॉक्टर कुमुद दीवान, a disciple of Padma Bhushan Pandit Channulal Mishra of Banaras, is a renowned exponent of the Thumri genre of Hindustani classical music. Vidushi Saskia Rao Dahas and Pandit Shubhendra Rao are a very unique and lovable classical music couple. A composer and sitar player, Pandit Shubhendra has studied under the sitar maestro.
Arjun, you will be moderator, so you are in the center. Are Krishna?
Pandit Shubhendra has studied under the sitar maestro, Pandit Ravi Shankar, and is ranked amongst the top soloists of India. Saskia, a disciple of leading flute maestro Hari Prasad Chaurasia, is hailed as a pioneer in the world of music for creating and introducing the Indian cello. Dr. Professor Anand Kumar, a good friend of Guruji, has been the HOD of reproductive biology at AIIMS Delhi. He writes excellent poetry, has had his books published, and paints as well. He is currently a senior fellow at the Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla. I now hand over the mic to Shri Arjun Puri.
So, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. And this is really an honor and great pleasure to actually moderate this talk, which will talk about one of the most wonderful human beings that we have had the pleasure to meet. Coincidentally, she happens to be one of the greatest dancers. And by dancers, I do agree with everybody who said it's way more than just what media and others term it to be. She assimilates almost every facet of life in her. And her ability to create forms which have an inner perspective as well as the outer, the way she manages to do that, very, very few people have managed to do that actually. And that is one of the most remarkable things, and people talk about innovation, people talk about doing new things. What does new mean? There is a spirit to everything that we do in our country. And if you do not align yourself with that spirit, you will be part of the pleasant brigade. So that certainly she's done. She makes you think. She makes you churn inside you to find what are we all aiming for? What are we all looking for? And if it is not the inner dimension which should play out in the outer life, then what is? And that is the gift of this country to the world. And that's why this knowledge has survived millennia and continues to inspire. And I hope it inspires more young Indians, because we certainly need that, especially the way the world is today. So, how do we keep this wave upon the sand? How do we capture what Sonalji has given to all of us? And with this, I open the discussion to
Thank you, Anandji. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Matrirupena Sanstita Namastasya 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 Namo Namah। माँ कामाख्या को प्रणाम करते हुए, सोनल दीदी को नमन करते हुए, जो आज की उत्सव मूर्ति हैं, I had thought that I will speak about what I'm about to tell you at the end, but she flips every argument in your mind, and she trains you, and she inspires you to always flip the argument that is going in your mind for that perfect and the differential creativity. So Didi, I salute you for that zigzag mind. That is the title of her new book. It's a zigzag mind, and the symbol is the alphabet Z or Z. उस Z हमें बोला जाता है, बचपन से बताया जाता है, काम करो, परफेक्ट करो, लकीर लंबी खींचो, लकीर लंबी खींचो। अरे लकीर किस पर लंबी खींचो? उस Z पर लंबी खींचो। कहाँ से शुरू करो, कहाँ खत्म करो? यहाँ से नहीं खींच सकते, वहाँ से नहीं खींच सकते, वहाँ से Z बिगड़ जाएगा, उसका Z ही बिगड़ जाएगा। तो ये ऐसा zigzag माइंड है जिस पर आप लंबी लकीर तो खींच ही नहीं सकते। आप करते रहिए तैयारी। That is the beauty of that mind. The Z alphabet signifies the zeal. It is Zani also, to quite an extent, the creativity, because she continues to reinvent herself by the nanosecond, and that is the epitome of her body of work. So I salute you for that zigzag mind, Didi. People would say, बहुत checkered रहा, क्यों? क्योंकि भरतनाट्यम सीखा, क्योंकि उन्होंने ओडिसी पर इतना आधिपत्य पाया, छव मयूरभंज जैसे उन्होंने विधाओं पर इतना उनका कमांड है, इतनी सारी नृत्य की विधाएं एक ही आप नहीं साध सकते। उस साधिका ने इतनी सारी साधी और सब में वो ट्रांसेंड करती रही, सेरेनेट करती रही। तो आपने कह दिया चेकर्ड है, क्या चेकर्ड है भाई? चेक्स पर तो आप वर्टिकल हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइन लंबी खींच सकते हो। आ जाओ इस जी पे, इस जिगजैग माइंड पर, और कोशिश करो। और आप कोशिश करेंगे भी तो वो अपनी सबसे बड़ी प्रतिद्वंदी स्वयं है। इस बात का मुझे एहसास हुआ जब मैंने उनके काम को देखा, उनसे वार्तालाप किया कई बार। You cannot even begin to fathom the absolute obsession. It's an obsessive strain that she does not let up. It's a continuum on which she delivers. और इतना ज़्यादा उनकी अपने आप, she is her best competitor and her worst critic. And unless and until we reach that stream of consciousness as an artist, your story doesn't begin really. काम को देखा मैंने, इन इतनी सारे काम की बॉडी ऑफ वर्क आप बहुत शुरुआत का तो नहीं देखा, वीडियोस देखते हैं, अभी जो उनको लाइव देखते हैं, मुझे लगता है कि नवाचार की जो एक पूरा एक आप किताब लिख सकते हैं, कितना नवाचार उनके काम में है, नित्यता है, निरंतरता है, नवाचार है, and that defines her work, that defines the way she positions her work to you. आ जाओ, कुछ नया मिलेगा, और नया मिलता है, इतना कुछ नया मिलता है. She is not just a dance guru or a dancer par excellence. She is a great musician. She's a living legend today because she combines a symbiotic, her dance reverberations and her music sensitivities. And you have to be a musician like me to understand how well she is entrenched in that Indian classical music or any type of music or any genre of music for that matter. कितना उन्होंने घोट कर उस संगीत को पिया हुआ है. ताल में वो इतनी परफेक्ट है, आप पखावज में दंगम जो मर्जी लेकर तबला आइए और बैठ जाइए उनके साथ. और रागों की इतनी अच्छी पकड़ है उनके, संगीत का इतना, और क्या कंठ है उनका. And she, as I said, that because she continues to reinvent herself, जो नृत्य की विधाएं जिस तरह से उसकी परिकल्पना हुई और जिस तरह से वो नाचती रही सभी विधाओं को, at some point of time she said नहीं, मुझे वांग्मय पर, शास्त्र पर, अपनी प्राचीन माइथोलॉजी पर जितना ज्ञान मैंने अपने गुरुओं से बटोरा, सभी विधाओं से, उस सब का एमालगेमेशन करके कथा कहनी है. And that katha is the sonal genre of katha. भारतवर्ष में बहुत अनंत कथाएं हैं, कथाओं का देश है, but हर कथास are different. The approach, the road map is completely novel. और हर बार जब वो कथा करती हैं, उनकी कई कथाएं मैंने 6-7 बार देखने का सौभाग्य हुआ, उसका रोड मैप वो बदल देती हैं, क्योंकि कुछ रटन द रोड मेमोरी से नहीं आ रहा है. इतना प्रवाह है, इतना संचरण उसमें, वो बिल्कुल उसमें वो रम चुकी हैं और वो उनमें रमता जाता है. और जितना ही वो मांगती हैं अपनी विधाओं से, विधाएं उनको उतना ही देती जाती हैं. ये बिल्कुल मेरा रोम रोम आज आह्लादित होता है उनको देखकर. शी इज़ अ ग्रेट सोर्स ऑफ इंस्पिरेशन फॉर मी. आई एम नॉट अ डांसर, शी इज़ नॉट माई नृत्य गुरु, शी इज़ माई लाइफ गुरु, एंड शी इज़ अ मेंटर टू मी. एंड हमेशा मेरे गुरुओं में उनका नाम सर्वोपरि रहेगा, क्योंकि कला, जीवन को जीने की कला जो मैंने देखी है. शी इज़ अ 360-degree artist, if I may say so. There are so many facets to that diamond, because you always look for the facets that shine. There are so many facets which are uncut, and you have to appreciate the beauty of that prism when you see her up close and personal. And क्या कह सकते हैं, उनका जो लालित्य है, उनकी जो गरिमा है, उनका जो एक्सप्रेशन है, उनका जो स्नेह मात्र शक्ति का स्वभाव है, उनकी जो प्यारी सी मीठी सी डांट है, एक कंधे पर उनका ऐसे कर देना है, वो दीदी वो हमें चलाता है. वो बना रहे, माँ भगवती की कृपा आप पर बनी रहे. आपके लिए बहुत ही दीर्घायु और अच्छा स्वास्थ्य हम चाहते हैं, क्योंकि आपका वरदहस्त बना रहेगा तो कला जगत सांस लेती रहेगी, नहीं तो ये सांसें रुक जाएंगी. तो उनके ऊपर तो आप एड नॉजियम बोल सकते हैं, इतना कुछ बोलने को है. नृत्य पर ना भी बोले, उन पर बोल सकते हैं, बट समय की सीमा है. मैं अंत में यही कहना चाहूँगी, न भूतो न भविष्यति, उन्हीं के लिए ये लाइन लिखा गया है. ऐसा कोई 360 डिग्री की मैं नृत्य नहीं कहती, मैं संगीत नहीं कहती. वो उसको कहने से आप उनकी पर्सनालिटी को लिमिट कर देते हैं, क्योंकि वो किसी भी सीमा रेखा के पार है. वो बिल्कुल कंप्लीटली बेकाबू भी है, बिल्कुल बंधा हुआ नहीं है, वो एकदम बेलगाम है, क्योंकि वो बेलगाम नहीं होगा तो उस लेवल पर परिकल्पना के प्रपात नहीं झरेंगे।
Thank you. I don't know if it's my turn, but I'll say just a few small things. We're celebrating humanity through you and your examples. Shubhendra and I had the great honor and pleasure to compose for your dance narrative, complete theater. I've seen everyone struggling for the words to describe, but with all humility, just a dancer, I think in your terms, means something very different than from everyone else. It means going for a story and telling the full narrative, understanding the philosophy, the costumes, the design, everything, and that completeness with the music, dance, narrative, the story as the central point, the message,